But that's
right?
where you become a closer, because you're actually asking the questions and you're getting the clarity, because the sales guys are going to just try to skip past it and hopefully it doesn't come up. Having the conversation, you do it enough times, you build up a resistance to it where it doesn't feel uncomfortable. This is just another conversation, and you're not trying to sell someone something. You're trying to figure out, can I actually help them?
Welcome to another episode of the Closers Network podcast. Guys, today we're doing something a little bit different. We're actually live right now. In fact, if you're interested to watch the next podcast episode live, we're going to go next Wednesday live again, so you can get early access to the podcast episode by just being in our school community. In fact, we have the school community listening in on the call right now, which is pretty dang cool. But that being said, guys, if you're new here and you're interested to join our free school community, click the second link in the description below. And we're going to chat a little bit more about coaching as well. But that being said, I want to welcome a guest that's been on the podcast before. This is not his first or his second appearance. In fact, this is my most appeared guest that I have on today.
Number 3.
And we call him Chubbs around here, but his name is Big Bad Christian, and he's a slayer. He comes from a construction background. If you guys missed his episode, you can go back. It's one of the first few episodes we did on our YouTube channel, so you can check out Christian's story and hear like how he transitioned from making 5-6K a month in construction, driving like 3-4 hours a day, sometimes even more, to in his first month banging out $12,000 in sales commissions earned, right? And to where he's at today. So what I'm excited to ask Christian, because what I've realized, guys, is sales is a game of constant and never-ending improvement. So you might have heard of Tony Robbins talk about CANI, right? And that just really means constant and never-ending improvement. And we have to embody that, because every single day you realize you're only as good as your last sale. And so understanding and keeping that perspective in mind, since the last time you came on, Christian, what do you feel like is the number one thing that's moved the needle for you? I mean, you've taken a lot of sales calls now. Yeah. You've probably had a lot of takeaways, a lot of aha moments. But what do you like? What's fresh on your mind right now, which maybe has been a challenge or a struggle or something you've been dealing with that you feel like, oh, you got some clarity around and it's really helped move the needle for you?
Yeah. So I would say for me, probably some of the biggest things is so we did an event not too long ago. That event was actually just, there's something about getting yourself around the people, again, and I talk about this a lot, who are doing bigger and better things. But when you get yourself around people who are doing like 7 figures, right? Or multiple high 6 figures a year, and you start to look at that, like, what are they actually doing? It's not just that they're really good at the sales game or closing in particular. They're just actually, I would say, good people. Everything in their life is more or less not just what it appears, but like is going well. Like their mental health, their physical health, their relationships with their families, their relationships with their kids, with their spouses. Like there's a lot of things that they take care of for their family and in their life that helps translate to just sales, where it's not just sales only.
Like how you do one thing is how you do everything. And what you've realized, I guess more recently, is like, dude, like it doesn't start with just how you are on the phones. It actually starts with what are you doing in your personal life? What are those habits, the mindset, and the skill sets look like there? And do you have your personal side dial in? And if so, does that translate into your professional sales life?
So 100%. So I hear a lot. It's like, okay, you have to have work-life balance, right? You have to have like, okay, if something's not going, like you get into an argument with someone, whether it's kids or, spouse or whatever, and then you got to go and take calls. Like that's not a good headspace, but it's like, you got to learn to separate the two. I've come to her of a new recent term is work-life integration, right?
Work-life
Which is kind of interesting because within sales, with what we do, it's kind of hard to have balance. There's a lot of trade-off in what we do, especially within remote high-ticket sales, where you've got the flexibility to do this from anywhere. So perfect example, the last couple of weeks I was traveling. I was in Arizona. I was in Michigan for a few weeks. And it's nice because while we're doing like family stuff and I'm on vacation, I'm still able to work, like still take calls, still close deals. But it's not like I'm ever really off. But it's something that me and my wife personally, we've had to learn to kind of integrate it. So we try to do more of a balance, like between the hours of this time and this time is when I'm working, and then this time and this time I'm not. However, if I get a call from someone in the hours where I'm not necessarily supposed to be working, and they're like, hey, I'm ready to go. Like my wife now knows like, hey, that's money that helps provide for us. Go ahead, take that call, So just kind of integrating a little bit more as opposed to maybe more of a balance where I feel like
A 9 to
it's not
5 where it's like, hey, I know at least if I start at 9 and I'm off at 5, I don't have to really worry or think about anything. It's
yeah, but the trade-off is like throughout the day, I'm spending time with my kids, playing
exactly
Roblox with my daughter, tossing the ball with my kid. So there's a lot. There's
getting to block off
there's
your
difference,
calendar at
correct?
whatever
Yes.
times if you're not going to take calls, and at least, okay, you could go take your kids somewhere, go to a doctor's appointment
Exactly.
or whatever you need to do.
For the question, what has moved the needle is getting more clear on that for myself.
That's powerful, man. That's powerful. Now, dude, one of the things that you do very well is, and I think it's kind of correlated to what we're talking about here, is like you're able to sell with honesty, where you don't sound salesy, and you're really good at that. You're really good at having like authentic conversations where people never ever feel like Christian's trying to sell me, right? He's just, man, he's asking really good questions. This is some good value. Dude, he's bringing clarity to myself that I haven't been able to bring to myself. Did you start off that way, or is that something that you feel like you kind of learned as a skill set as you kind of got better?
I think that comes to that point of just becoming a better person, right? So in the beginning, yeah, I was just trying to follow the scripts, trying to follow the questions, trying to get the selling, because to a comment you made earlier, you're only good as your last sell, which I get it, but I just have ethics. I've got values. I've got morals. And when I go against that, I do not as well, right? When I'm trying to just get sales in. Perfect example, I had a call with a gentleman yesterday where we're ramping up account, and I felt like I overpushed where probably I shouldn't have, which is just not who I am. And I probably lost that sale, which is, I get it. It's just not who I am, right? So even now I still kind of battle it because it's not my style. Where I really want to come in is offer value, right? Offer an opportunity. Does this line up for what you're looking for? And if it does, then either if it's a fear-based thing, help you overcome that. If it's a financial thing, just figuring out what does that look like in terms of time and duration. Just honestly, just getting clarity on the situation and understanding. So if it's something we don't do now, that's fine. Is it something we're looking to do down the line, or is it something we're not looking to do at all?
That's right.
At the end of the day, it's always going to be their decision. And I don't want to ever feel like I'm forcing somebody to do that. They got to make that decision. So it's, yeah, just ethics, values.
And then once you've kind of determined that it's a fit for them, they want to do it. All you got to do at that point is your signature line is make it make sense, right? Make it make sense.
Doesn't make sense. If it makes sense, you do it, because at the end of the day, it's success loves speed. You made a decision. Now we're not trying to figure it out. We're not researching anymore. We're not looking into things. Now we're in the doing part. So that's, success loves speed.
There you go, dude. That's what Bedros always taught us, is money loves speed. So it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. Well, one of the things that you do a really good job of is, you help onboard people even into One Call Closers, our sales agency. Sure. And we'll kind of talk about that a little bit. But so having to have, conversations with a lot of people, what do you feel like is maybe a qualities that you see in individuals that come in and kind of crush it right out the gate, even if they don't have prior experience, whether they have experience or not? But like, what qualities do you maybe see in an individual that has success right out the gate, kind of like you did?
It's very common. It sounds funny to just say it's like people who are hungry and coachable and motivated, right? I think people who would have success too are people who have to. So I'll use myself as an example, right? Like when I quit the construction career and I came into this and I had no money set aside or nothing like that, I had to make it work. It's not
No plan B.
There's no plan B. It's not like I have this fallback, like this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure it out because I had to, because I have a wife and I've got kids. So it's scary. A lot of development and growth happens there. But as far as qualities, is I kind of like people who are in a position where like they have to succeed. Because if that's where you're at, then getting yourself with a group of badass like closers and a solid team is going to help elevate the individual.
Bam. That's some nuggets in there for anyone looking for some opportunities right now. There's a lot of nuggets in there for you guys. One of the things I wanted to talk about is, kind of the balance, because I think you brought that up. I was specifically wanting you to get into Arizona and Michigan and what the life looked like, but you did that, so that's awesome. That being said, guys, let's get into some of the questions that people threw in the chat. So question number 1, guys, that is coming in live. How would you deal with the prospect who is refusing to put on the camera? So I think Christian kind of alluded to the camera piece earlier. So just real quick, I'll cover that, guys. Like if you have someone that doesn't want to put the camera on, I mean, the best thing to do like is to crack a little joke about it. And that could be something like, oh, hey, like, are you going to come on at all so I could see you? Because I don't really want to be talking to myself sort of thing, right? So you can kind of make a joke about it and see how they feel. But you also have to put yourself in their shoes. Like, why do they feel that way, right? Are they scared? Are they feel fearful? Have they been on sales calls in the past where they've kind of been burned before and they're like not wanting to show you their face, so they're not super engaged? Because the reality is, guys, like they're still booking a call. They're still showing up. So there's a change that they're looking to make. Right. But you got to put yourself in their shoes and understand there might be some fear there. And so the best thing to do is just to, try to lighten the mood, try to crack a joke, try to make it funny. Right. Or if they don't do that and they're like, oh, no, I'm just going to keep my camera off. Then it's like, hey, is it totally cool if I just keep my camera off? Because I just don't like talking to myself. I just don't like seeing myself when I talk. Something along that line.
I think, too, also, if someone comes on and they don't want to have their camera on, you'll know really quickly within the first maybe like 30 seconds. It's probably maybe a more guarded individual. You're probably going to have to work a little more on the call itself. So more empathetic on those calls, I feel like.
That's right. A lot more empathetic, putting yourself in their shoes, right? So what was the most unexpected lesson you learned from your biggest failure, and how has it shaped your approach to success?
Unexpected lesson. So, okay. Honestly, I would say the biggest unexpected lesson I had was after my first month, probably going to my second month. So my very first month in sales, I put up, it was a little over 12 grand. I want to say it was close to 13 grand. I was making probably take home before, a little over 4. So mentally, I was not prepared to make more money. So there's a book, and I talk about it a lot. Secrets of a Millionaire Mind.
Habits of
No.
Secrets of a Millionaire
But there's a talk about a money thermometer, and my thermometer was set at about 4,000, right? So at 4,000, I knew that covers bills. Everything was kind of taken care of. I could survive off of that. But once I made 13, instead of like going into the next month, like eager and hungry, it was more like, this is where the unexpected part kind of comes in, is I was more relaxed in like, okay, hey, like I don't have to work as hard. I don't need to take as many calls. I have 3 months of income right here, right? And it literally turned around and burned me the following month where I made 3,000, but that was on my own part. So I learned really quick in terms of how I can create success. It's like I actually got to be on the calls.
Damn, dude, that's a huge lesson, guys. And I see that pattern a lot. You're getting some claps over there.
Oh yeah, okay.
But that's a big lesson, because I see that pattern a lot with new closers that are not used to making money, and they're like, oh, dude, I just made so much money where the next 3, 4, 6 months is covered, right? And then they take the foot off the pedal, and then it's like, oh man, you're in a bad pattern of just a circle that you're chasing. And yeah, it's a good lesson.
That's probably one of my, it was unexpected, because I felt like I did so good my first month, like that's just what it was going to be. But I also let my foot off the gas, and that was not what I should have done. So should have doubled down, actually.
Yeah, for sure. So that's a great one. Would you ask for timing as a tie down or concluding the summary or the pitch? Yeah, in my opinion, and I'd love Christian to chime in on this, like you should be hitting on why now in discovery, because it's going to come up and turn into something later on.
Yeah.
And the time to bring it back up is in the close. If they're like, well, I don't know if now's the time. Well, it's like, hey man, like you can go back to the conversation you had earlier in discovery and remind them of all the things that they shared with you, right? So that would be where my head goes. I don't know if you have any.
Yeah, just so the why now question, right? Like, why is it so important for you to make this decision now? You're gonna have to go deeper on that. You'll always get the surface layer answer, and sometimes you can't just go with the surface layer answer. I see a lot of people, if you get the why now, well, just because I'm ready to make a change, and it's like, okay, they're ready to make a change. I feel like I have enough information to go to my next either question in a script or a framework or whatever that looks like, and like there's more to that usually. Like, why is it like you have to make that decision now? You know, what are the consequences of not doing that now? Are you okay with the consequences if you don't do it now, right? And if that's the case, like, why haven't you done it in the past? Like, go deeper on that, because if you don't, they'll just come back to it anyways. And then you're going to feel like you had the answers that you really didn't. And one thing I'll say too is people like to write down a lot of questions, and they like to ask questions to get the answers, or they'll phrase questions, in a way to get the answers that they're looking for, where they feel like they're advancing the sale. Just because a prospect is saying yes doesn't necessarily mean they're agreeing. They're just saying yes. They could be agreeing with the statement you said. This happened to me in a conversation once. I was selling for a real estate offer. A guy came in. We were teaching people how to do real estate investing and, fix and flips and long-term rental holds and stuff like this. And the guy came on the call and he mentioned something like he was just trying to increase his skill sets, create more or find more deals. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I asked him, I was like, so somewhere in the line, it came down to wholesaling. I was like, so you really wanted to learn how to wholesale. However, he was already doing the end part of the game in investing, which was real estate investing into properties. However, he told me yes. So he just agreed with me, right? So in my head, I thought the problem was that he was just looking to add a skill set in terms of learning how to wholesale deals. I got off the call and Rich is like, well, what was the problem? I was like, well, he wanted to learn how to wholesale. He's like, no, he didn't. I was like, yeah, he literally told me that. He's like, no, you asked him and he just agreed. And then you felt that was the actual answer. And I was like, okay, no, you're right. Because when I went back and watched it, I was asking the questions so that I could get a yes or no based on, and then try to advance the call. So I don't know. That's where I was going with that.
During a challenging sales call, how do you pivot when you sense the prospect's interest is waning and waning? And my English is not the best. It's the second language, by the way. And what techniques do you use to re-engage them? Of course, your entire job in the discovery phase of the call is to determine like if this is something that's even going to make sense for them. So first I'd want to ask like, have you determined, in fact, this is a fit for them, or are you trying to still sell them something that you don't need, right? So, because if they're disengaged, it might be a situation where it's something that they don't need, and so there's no point in pitching and getting into a sale only to get objections for them to tell you don't need that. So that's what I would want to get clarity around. But let's just say, you have a prospect that you've kind of like, no, this is engaged, they're answering all the right answers to all the questions, etc. But like, maybe there's a little bit of fear or hesitancy there. Like, I mean, what I like to do is just kind of continue qualifying and kind of push them away a little bit to really see if this is something that they want to do. So I call that the takeaway close. And that'll really help me understand, like, is this person like, are they really serious about this? And is there some fear and hesitancy there? Or it's like, no, they're actually disengaged and I'm kind of wasting my time right now. So I like to, I'm a fan of like a takeaway close. So you got to be confident and not be scared to lose the deal, of course, right? But it's like, you can call them out. Listen, hey, Marlene, I'm trying to figure this out, right? So I feel like, hey, man, we were like really engaged on this call a little bit earlier, but you seem like you're maybe out of tune right now. So like, you let me know, like, is this even a conversation you want to continue having? And I just call them out for what it is, right? I'm willing to have tough conversations. I'm willing to just say what things are for what they are. Like, hey, help me understand. Like, if this isn't a call like even you're looking to have or you're not wanting to continue, like, you let me know. I'm more than happy to get off the call and we can part ways as friends, right? Oh, no. You know what, Mike? I'm sorry. Something happened. Life showed up. I just heard this news earlier. I heard that earlier, right? So, like, you don't know what they're going through, what could be on their mind, and all the different things that are happening there. So these are things like you need to definitely consider. But it's all about getting clarity, right? Understand and get clarity by ask a couple follow-up questions to that. What do you have to add to that?
I think that makes sense. I think you call out the elephant in the room.
That's right.
Yeah, just bring it up in the room. Because you're gonna sit there with it on your mind. It's on their mind, and just do them the favor by asking the question. Because all you're gonna do is you're gonna get clarity. And again, everything here starts with the domino, right? Getting clarity is the first one. If you don't have clarity, they're not gonna make a decision on anything. So call it out, and not like in a negative way. I mean, you could do it from some tough love standpoints too, but if you just feel something's off, just ask, because what's going to happen is you're going to get to the end. If you don't, it's not going to close anyways, and you're going to wish you would have done it anyways.
There you go. And honestly, guys, like, you'll go to bed sleeping so much better at night, like knowing, dude, there's no question marks in your head that I left something on the table or I didn't do this, and you're staying up all night thinking about that call and what you could have done different.
It's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable to have it in that moment.
Yeah.
But God, what a relief it is to have asked it and just got over it, because the conversation is never going to go as bad as you think it is.
But that's where you become a closer, because you're actually asking the questions and you're getting the clarity. Because the sales guys are going to just try to skip past it and hopefully it doesn't come up. Having the conversation, you do it enough times, you build up a resistance to it where it doesn't feel uncomfortable. This is just another conversation, and you're not trying to sell someone something. You're trying to figure out, can I actually help them?
Can I help this person or not? Is there a problem there for me to solve or not? And if there isn't, then I'm like, hey, man, I just get the sense you're not really engaged in this call. I'm not sure if this is even something that you're looking to do, to be honest. I mean, you let me know. I mean, I don't see any reason to continue the conversation, but like, you let me know if you maybe I'm misreading the situation, or I'm misreading what's happening here, right? And just bringing that stuff up, calling out the elephant in the room. And most of the time you'll just find out like it's fear and hesitancy from a past experience, or just, getting burned or getting scammed in the online space, something. And you'll get that clarity that you need and figure out what's going on. Or like, no, like this person's really like just not interested, and they just realize really quick this isn't for them. And that's okay too.
Yeah, I was okay. Don't allow your fear to ask that question. Be the reason you don't do that, because that's a disservice to the prospect. Because then they don't have the clarity. So don't put your personal, I guess, fear, I guess is the word I'm going to use, of wanting to have the hard conversation as the reason you don't. Like, you got to get over that.
That's right. Get over having the tough conversation. This business, guys, is the business of tough conversations. If you're looking to make money and become a part of the 10% closers that are doing 90% of the revenue in the space, right? Like, you're going to have those conversations dialed in and be willing to have them. Last question, and we got to wrap this up. So Andy asks, where to find offers? I'm ready to jump in, but don't know where to find the work. Okay, so there's a couple of trains of thought here that I'm going to end with. Number one, Andy, like we have a kind of a free course that we give you to basically go out there and like search for offers. Now, the feedback that we get a lot is, dude, every offer I try to get on is like, you either need experience or you got to pay to get in, right? And so that's where the space is at today. So love it or hate it, that's where this particular remote high ticket space is at today. It's paying for placement, right? So that being said, it's not to say you can't find an opportunity. It's very rare. It's like a needle in a haystack. And if you find it, you're probably going to need 2 years of experience selling some type of remote coaching offer in the space. Now, that being said, again, I don't want to like completely discourage you and say like you can't find something without pay. Like it's just probably going to be a SDR role, like a setter role where you're not a closer yet. You have to work your way up, etc.
Or startup companies.
Or startup companies or scammy offers, like people literally scamming people and your name's attached to that. And then it's like, dude, the company went under and I was a sales rep on this, and I've heard horror stories. So that being said, if you're someone who's like really serious about this in terms of like making sure you could get placement and the coaching that you need to be successful, like right out the gate, we do have our own paid placement, guys, of getting placed into our sales agency. Now, here's the difference with us and a lot of other people out there is we actually have clients that we sell for. Right? We have some really big names that we sell for. If you go to our website, the number onecallclosers.com, so onecallclosers.com, you'll just see some of the names that we're partnered with, right? And we've scaled the sales agency to over $200 million in just 5 years. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of people out there that are promising and guaranteeing placement that are working with third-party companies like us to get them placed. So it's like there's really no guarantee there, right? The reason we could guarantee it is because we actually have a sales agency. We have 300 reps that sell for us, right? We've been doing this for a while now. So if you're someone that's really serious in terms of making sure like you want to get the placement, you want to work with a legitimate company, and you don't have the experience, or even maybe you do, but you haven't been able to quite find an offer, and you're interested in working for a company whose average rep is doing about 10 to 12,000 a month in commissions earned, with some of the top reps banging out 30 to 60, 70, 80K months, right? There is an opportunity here. And if you're really interested in that opportunity and you want to talk to Christian or myself about it, you can literally click on our YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, and if you're watching it on school, I can shoot you over a link of sales coaching where you can get on a call with Christian or myself, and we can chat and see if there's maybe an opportunity for you here to get a placement opportunity within one of the offers that we have. So only if you're serious about this, right? Like if you're really serious about it, because I promise you it'll be like, you will get your money's worth. The training and the coaching is top notch. It's the best in the industry. And it's because we're basically leading from the front. And so I'm going to end it there. If you're serious about this, guys, click the first link on our YouTube channel. There's a description where you can schedule a one-on-one call with Christian or myself. You'll end up on a call with either one of us too. And you can chat with us about it, and you can find an opportunity and get guaranteed placement plus the coaching that you need. So that's going to get you the mindset, the skill sets, and the habits that you need to make 6 or multiple 6 figures with us. So I'm going to end it there. Christian, do you have any final thoughts, man?
Yeah, no, I'll say if you guys want, go ahead and book the call anyways. There's stuff that I can even talk about and show you just what to look for if it's not us for other offers, so that you don't get yourself on a bad opportunity. I see that happen a lot. I talk to so many people who are looking for placement. They spent $20,000 for coaching and placement, and they're getting put on really bad offers. Even not paying, where they're getting onto some of those newer offers where they're just not ideal. even if it's not with us, I can still show you what to look out for or what questions to ask so you can avoid wasting your time on a bad opportunity.
With that being said, guys, thank you guys so much for joining our first ever live podcast. It wasn't perfect, but hey, we're not fans of perfection here. We are actually massive fans of imperfect action. So although we started late and we had some technical difficulties and had a lot of challenges, like that doesn't change anything in the circumstances of just getting stuff done, right? And having that figure it out mentality. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for the love. Thank you guys. Thanks a lot. Great session. Have a great one. Thanks for the call, guys. So
awesome, guys.
Thank you guys for being engaged, being live. We'll do more of these. It's fun. So starting next Wednesday, we'll go live on the Wednesday sessions for the podcast. And then, of course, we have all the other calls that we do live throughout the week for completely free. So you guys are welcome to join and ask any questions you want. That being said, guys, let's have an awesome rest of the week. Happy Wednesday, and let's get after it.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.
Peace.